everyone and welcome to Baron's Den for another Star Player video as we look at Skrull Halfheight, the undead zombie slash skeleton dwarf, as we consider his ups and his downs. I don't think Skrull was one of the most well-loved stars in the previous edition of the game, but he is pretty cool looking, and maybe he's had somewhat of an improvement in this new edition. Let's find out. Okay, so, first of all, he's movement 6. Now, I know I gave Barrick an up for movement 6, and I'm not sure I should have done, if I'm honest. The more I've thought about it, yes, movement 6 is good for a dwarf. And not only is this a dwarf, he's an undead dwarf. So, you know, he's a zombie or a skeletal dwarf, which are both known for being slow. But in the grand scheme of the game, and he is somebody that we're looking at his raw stats and abilities, he's movement 6, which is average. So it's not a down, but I don't think I can give him an up for it. His strength is 3, which is average, so no up or down. However, his agility is 4+, and that is going to trigger a down because it just means that he can get based, he can get marked, and he's going to find it hard to move away. Now, there are instances where you don't necessarily need him to move away to be useful, and we'll talk about that later. But it is going to cause a few issues at times, I think, him being 4+ in his agility. Just like other players across the game who are Edge 4+. It's just, it niggles you a little bit if you have to dodge with them, or you feel like you'd be better off if you did, or if you've got to try and pick up the ball. Even though he's got sure hands, 4+, it doesn't feel good. So yeah, he's got a down for that. His passing is 3+, which normally wouldn't be too bad at all, but as he's a thrower and he's a star player, I've got to give him a down, because passing 3+ is a little bit above average. But given that he is an actual thrower, I don't think a passing 3+ is particularly reliable. Now, he does have something that actually gives him an up with his passing, and we'll get to that later. But if it was down on his raw stat, I'd say that isn't anything special at all. Finally, his armor 9+, which isn't very good for a dwarf. Most dwarves are armor 10+. However, as a general armor, it's not bad, is it? Armor 9+. It's the human lineman of armors, which we know is the benchmark for average. So I can't give him an up or down for that. So if you're looking at his pure stats alone, it's not looking too clever for him, is it? But if we get into his skills and traits, we might see what in particular he shines at. So he is he's got a skill here called Accurate, and for that he's getting an up, because it means that he's now passing on quick pass 2+, and short pass 3+. So it kind of turns him into a 2+ passer for those two shorter range passes, which is actually quite useful. And it does mean that if you're not using his special ability, which we'll get to later, he can still pass at shorter ranges fairly effectively. So for that, I think he deserves an up. And he also deserves an up for Nerves of Steel, because it means that if the opposition player manages to mark him, get into an adjacent square to him, either because, I don't know, you've caged around him and they've removed a corner of the cage, or maybe somebody has cage dived in and hasn't managed to sack the ball, but they're still next to you. It could be really useful in making sure that Skrull can get rid of that ball, which is what I was talking about with agility. Now he doesn't necessarily need to dodge away, because he can actually pass the ball away if he has got possession of the ball. So I think Nerves of Steel does help a little bit with that. He's also got pass, which is another up, because as a thrower, you've got to have pass, haven't you? It's kind of crucial. But now he's got that 2+, 3+ pass. Having the pass skill makes that more reliable. And when it comes to him doing his special pass, which we'll get to later, again, pass means he'll have an opportunity to re-roll that should something go horribly wrong. So definitely an up for pass. Now, he's also got regeneration, and I'm going to skip over to Thick Skull, and I'm going to give these both, a joint 1 up for that, because they are both skills that are going to help keep Skrull in the game somewhat. First of all, Thick Skull is going to stop him being knocked out as much. He'll be stunned a bit more, but it'll keep him on the pitch a bit longer. And then regeneration may stop him from being casualtied and put him back into the reserves for you. Both of which are useful for keeping Skrull around. So yeah, I'm giving them an up, a joint up, because I don't think they deserve one individually, but certainly together they are pretty good. Sure hands, I don't think sure hands is going to be as important now, because I don't think he's going to be hanging on the ball long enough for it to counteract strip ball. Occasionally, maybe, but not too much. And I think you'll be using the new secure the ball action to pick up the ball because he's not got unsteady. He's not a big guy, so he should be able to secure the ball, and he can do that on a 2+. Okay, he hasn't got a reroll, but I think a 1-2+ is better than a 4+ with a reroll. So yeah, I don't see Sure Hands being as vital. It's not a down. I don't think it's going to get an up either. So those are his skills and traits. Let's see who he plays for. Sylvanian Spotlight or World's Edge Super League means he plays for Undead, Necro, Tomb Kings, Vampires, Dwarves and Ogres. Again, I'm not giving this an up or a down. So let's look at the positives. There's 6 different teams there to play for. And for some of those teams, having a thrower is something they don't actually have and could benefit from. Start with Tomb Kings. They're not going to benefit from a thrower because they've already got a thrower who hasn't really got good options to throw to. So having Skrull there as well would be a complete waste of time. Then you've got Vampires who already have excellent throwers and catchers. So I don't know. I mean, he's one really good pass, but I just think the Vampires are already really good at passing. They don't need him. Ogres don't have too many options to pass to. You've got Noblars, so you could potentially have Skrull in to do that one crazy pass to a Noblar for the touchdown. But the thing is, Ogres have got so many options with their star players. Because of the way they build their team, they can go from way more expensive and, frankly, better star players than Skrull. So I don't expect you'll ever see him on an Ogre team. Necro and Shambling Undead may be where he's able to be used because not only do none of them have throwers, so if you wanted to try a little throwing game, he's your best bet. They do have Agility 3+ players to pass to in Werewolves, Wights and Ghouls. And they also don't really ever have enough money for star players. But you might occasionally, if you're down a positional, you might have enough to trigger 150. And that would then be a consideration. Maybe Skrull could be a good option. You're not going to... obviously, if you can afford somebody like Ivan or Cheney, you're going to much rather those two. But he does fall into that ballpark in between. So I can't give him an up for who he plays for because there's not a wide variety of teams and he's not really going to be useful for a lot of them. But he's certainly not a down because I do think there is some use there for him. Right, on to his special rule. Okay, so strong passing game. Once per game when Skrull performs a pass action, he may modify the result of the passing ability test by the value of his strength characteristic to a maximum of 6. Which means basically you're adding a +3 to your dice roll. So if you roll if you're going for a long bomb, which would normally be a 6+, and you roll a 3, you'd add your strength to that and you'd trigger that 6+, and you'd successfully long bomb. And if it's only a long pass, then you'd be doing it on a 2+, wouldn't you? So I actually think that's really good. He's got Nerves of Steel as well, so even if it might be useful just to get rid of the ball. Obviously with the idea that you're passing it to somebody, but what I mean is, even if it's not quite accurate and it scatters from your target square, might not be the end of the world. I suppose a natural 1 would cause a fumble, but he's got the pass skill as well to help stop that from happening. So I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to give him an up for that. On to his cost, 150. Again, it's not going to be an up or a down because he's obviously a lot more expensive than Barak, who's another thrower. But Barak has secret weapon. I also think of the couple of passing skills they've each got, I think Skrull's got the better deal. Having Accurate and Nerves of Steel, I think is more effective than having Cannoneer and Hail Mary pass on a 3+ passing player. So, yeah, I think Skrull got the better side of the skills, but he's also paying for that with his 150. So I'm not going to give him an up or a down. There's some teams where that 150 might mean that he gets taken, but there's going to be people out there that would just much rather take a bribe and a keg, if I'm honest. So that's Barak. No, it's not. That's Skrull. But I do want to, unfortunately, give a couple of bonus downs. One of those is the fact that he doesn't have block, dodge, or wrestle, or anything that's going to protect him from getting knocked down. I mean, yes, he's got protection against the ball sack with sure hands to stop strip ball, but I still think it makes him a bit vulnerable to getting hit. You are going to have to really protect him because it's going to be easy for other players to take him out. some people might think that's harsh because he's not meant to be blocking, but a lot of other star players have one of those skills just to give them that little bit of protection, or high strength. Like Ripper doesn't have block, dodge, or wrestle, but he has strength 6, so it's not very easy to take him down. Skrull only being strength 3 means that he is more vulnerable than others. And then the second bonus down, I do think, because of this special ability, he's a bit of a one-trick pony. He's there for that one crucial passing play where you can go almost coast to coast and set up a touchdown score. And I think the way that you're going to do that is going to be you'll launch it and then score it with somebody who's deep in the end zone. And I just wonder whether coaches will just wise up to that and cotton on and make sure that any catchers or runners in range of a touchdown score, they'll deal with either through marking or taking them out. Or they might put a lot of early pressure on, hoping that you'll go early with it and score early so they get a chance to equalise. So I just feel like it is a bit of a one-trick pony, unfortunately, and that people might wise up. Well, they've already wised up. They've already wised up to it. But what I mean is, people might realise how to counteract that far too easily. And then if he's not pulling off that special pass, I don't really know what he's there for. So that's Skrull Halfheight. Kind of feel like I've been a bit harsh, but actually, he comes out at +1, which means he ends up in the C tier, which I think is about right. I think he is better than Rashnak and Barrick, but not as good as these. I think if you ask me, I'd rather have any of these in my team than Skrull. But he does give a throwing option to teams that may not otherwise not have a thrower. If throwing does take off a bit more in this edition, because some of the rules alterations, maybe he'll be looked at more fondly. But we shall see. Okay, so that's it for Skrull. Please, if you're enjoying these videos, don't forget to subscribe as we continue our ploughing through all the star players. Please keep the likes coming and the views and the comments. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you very much. Bye for now.